students, in this video let us discuss second law of thermodynamics, Gibbs free energy, and the relationship between Gibbs free energy and spontaneity of a reaction. Already we know first law of thermodynamics, it related the change in internal energy with work done by the system or on the system and heat absorbed by the system or lost by the system. It means first law of thermodynamics related the energy. It's stated that the amount of energy lost by the system or gained by the system, which is equal to amount of energy gained or lost by the surrounding, or the energy of the universe is constant, or the energy of an isolated system is constant, or the energy is conserved. In different way we stated the first law of thermodynamics. In the same way we are going to state second law of thermodynamics in different way. Second law of thermodynamics explained about the spontaneity of a reaction. Up to now we discussed that the spontaneity of a reaction, some reaction shown decrease in enthalpy of the system, and some system shown increase in the entropy of the system. But there are so many examples where enthalpy of the system is increasing or positive enthalpy values are there. Even though they have a positive enthalpy values, they are spontaneous, and there are so many reactions or so many process where entropy of the system is negative. Even though they have entropy negative and entropy of the system negative, but they are spontaneous. It means that spontaneity or driving force of the reaction not only depends upon enthalpy and entropy, but there is a combination of these two. Okay. Here second law of thermodynamics explained about the spontaneity of the reaction. In different way they have stated. The first statement is all spontaneous processes are thermodynamically irreversible. Any process, any reaction, if it is spontaneous, then thermodynamically that reaction is irreversible. We cannot reverse by changing the conditions or by reversing the condition. Okay, it means melting of ice at a particular temperature, that is at room temperature, is a spontaneous process, but we cannot make it or we cannot reverse that reaction without any changing the conditions. It means there is no change in temperature, there is no change in pressure. Without changing temperature or pressure, we cannot reverse it. Thermodynamically, it is irreversible. Okay. Second one, a spontaneous process cannot be reversed without the help of an external agency. There are so many spontaneous processes are there. These spontaneous processes which cannot be reversed without the help of an external agency. That is melting of ice. Melting of ice at room temperature is spontaneous. If we want to reverse that reaction, we require some external agency. External agency, nothing but we require some freezer which decrease the temperature of the system. Without that freezer, we cannot convert water into ice. So second statement states that a spontaneous process cannot be reversed without the help of any external agency. It requires some external agency for reversing. Okay. Then third one, the complete conversion of heat into work is impossible. There is no engine, there is no machine which converts completely into energy. So, third statement state like that. Fourth statement states that all spontaneous processes are accompanied by a net increase in the entropy. Any spontaneous process is there. During the process, there is increase in the entropy, or entropy of an isolated system is positive or increasing. It means all spontaneous process are accompanied, means any spontaneous process is going on, there must be increase in the entropy. Statement 5. The entropy of the system increasing continuously. It means in different way, different scientists proposed or stated second law of thermodynamics. Mainly all laws explains on the basis of entropy. Okay. Next one, Gibbs free energy. What is Gibbs free energy? How it is mathematically represented? How we can measure Gibbs free energy? Let us know. For your understanding, I will explain you about the free energy. What do you mean by free energy? Free energy, nothing but total available energy. Total available energy from the system. Total available energy from the system. That is only for doing work. For example, a body has a mass m, then energy stored in that body is equals to E equals to mc square. That is mass into square of the velocity of light, and this is given by Einstein. According to this Einstein's equation, we can say that energy stored in a system, energy stored in a body is directly proportional to mass of the body. It means energy is proportional to m, but work is not here proportional to energy. Okay, energy stored in a body is proportional to m. As the m value increase, E also increase. But here, complete energy stored in a body cannot be converted into work. Means only part of the total energy is used for doing work. That energy nothing but free energy. Free energy nothing but the total energy or total maximum energy available for useful work. For doing any work, we require energy. That energy is nothing but free energy. For example, my weight is 60 kg. It means 60 kg. According to Einstein equation, my energy stored in my body is equals to 60 into 10 to the power of 3, that is gram, and velocity of light 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meter square. Means on calculating we are getting some value for energy, that is in joules. Okay, I am having this much amount of energy in joules, but this, let us take it as W. Okay, the W amount of energy I stored in my body, but complete this energy I cannot convert into work. Means free energy, available free energy is very less. I cannot, means this much amount of energy will do a lot of work, but I cannot run 10 kilometer in a stretch. I cannot, means I cannot travel or walk 50 kilometer, more than 50 kilometer in a day. I will be exhausted. When I become exhaust or when I will be exhausted, it means that my free energy becomes zero. There is no free energy is available for work. I think you understood that. Free energy nothing but total energy or maximum energy available in a system for doing work. Okay, then here according to definition, the maximum amount of energy available to a system during a process for doing useful work under constant temperature and pressure, means at particular temperature, particular pressure, the total energy available for doing particular work during a process nothing but free energy, and it is discovered by Gibbs, so we call it as Gibbs free energy, and this Gibbs free energy is denoted by G. Mathematically, Gibbs free energy is given by this equation, that is G is equals to H minus Ts, where G is Gibbs free energy, H is enthalpy of the system, T is absolute temperature of the system, enthalpy of the system, absolute temperature of the system, and S is entropy of the system. Here Gibbs energy, enthalpy and entropy we are related by this equation, and we call by this equation we can measure free energy of the system. Next, characteristics of free energy. Just like enthalpy and entropy, Gibbs free energy is also a state function. It means the change in its value depends upon initial state and final state of the system, and it is independent of the path, so it is a state function. Okay, next, Gibbs free energy is an extensive property. Gibbs free energy is an extensive property. It means that Gibbs free energy depends upon amount of the matter present in the system. Amount of the matter present in the system. Higher the amount, more is the Gibbs free energy. Less will be the Gibbs free energy. It means it depends upon the amount, so it is an extensive property. At equilibrium, the change in free energy of a system is zero. Whenever a system is at equilibrium, the change in free energy of the system is zero. Delta G equals to zero. These are the some characteristic properties of free energy. Okay, next, Gibbs free energy change. The absolute value of free energy cannot be measured, so the change in free energy of the system can be measured. Just like internal energy, just like enthalpy, absolute values of enthalpy, internal energy we cannot measure. So here also the absolute Gibbs free energy we cannot measure, but change in Gibbs free energy can be measured. The change in Gibbs free energy is nothing but the difference in the free energy of a system in the initial state and final state. What was the free energy of the system in the initial state, and what will be the free energy of the system in the final state? The difference of these two is nothing but Gibbs free energy change, and it is denoted by delta G. It is denoted by delta G. Delta G nothing but change in free energy. Okay. Let us consider a system undergoing isothermal process. Consider a system which is undergoing at constant temperature, that is isothermal process is there. According to that, the initial free energy G1, initial enthalpy H1, initial entropy S1. So at initial state, G1 is the internal energy, free energy, initial enthalpy H1 and initial entropy S1. These are the conditions. According to that equation, we can give that G1 is equals to H1 minus T S1. Here T is a constant which is called isothermal or temperature constant. Whenever the process undergoes change at constant temperature, then it reaches G2 as the final free energy of the system, H2 final enthalpy of the system, and S2 final entropy of the system. So free energy is given by G2 is equals to H2 minus TS2. The change in free energy of the system, that is what is in the final state and what was in the initial state, difference. So G2 minus G1 equals to H2 minus H1 plus T into S2 minus S1. So G2 minus G1 become delta G, H2 minus H1 become delta H, and S2 minus S1 become delta S. So final equation become delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. This equation is called Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, and this equation will help us to predict spontaneity of a reaction. Whether a reaction is spontaneous, non-spontaneous, that can be predicted by this equation. Let us know how we are going to predict it. Now, Gibbs free energy and spontaneity of a process or spontaneity of a reaction. How Gibbs free energy is going to decide the spontaneity of a reaction. Okay, let us know how it is going to affect. According to second law, a reaction is spontaneous if total entropy of the process is positive. Already I told you, second law states that the spontaneity of a reaction is depend upon entropy of the system. During the process, there must be increase in the entropy. All the statements stated on the basis of entropy. So according to second law of thermodynamics, we can say that a process, a reaction is spontaneous whenever its total entropy is positive. It means there is increase in the entropy. Okay. Let us consider a system which is not isolated from surrounding. The total entropy change is given by, there is one system and that system is not isolated. It means it is in contact with the surrounding. In that case, the total entropy is given by delta S total equal to delta S system plus delta S surrounding. That is, total entropy is equals to entropy of the system, entropy of the surrounding. Sum of these two is nothing but total entropy. Okay. Suppose the reaction is carried out at constant temperature. We are doing some reaction at constant temperature and pressure. And QP is the amount of heat given out by the system to the surrounding. Understood? Why we are saying that heat is given out by the system? Because whenever heat is given out from the system, its delta H value is negative. That is, decrease in the enthalpy of the system. So we considering that a system which is maintaining at constant temperature and pressure, and it is losing QP amount of heat energy, it means it is an exothermic. It means that there is decrease in the enthalpy of the system. So QP amount of heat is surrounding, which is equal to QP, amount of heat is lost by the system, surrounding is absorbing the heat energy, and system is losing heat energy, and this is nothing but change in enthalpy of the system, which is negative. Okay, just I repeat, QP is nothing but amount of heat absorbed by the surrounding at constant pressure, minus QP is nothing but the amount of heat lost by the system at constant pressure. This is nothing but enthalpy. Already we proved QP nothing but enthalpy and QV nothing but change in internal energy. So this is equal to delta H of the system. Next, let us assume that surrounding act like a sink for heat and the temperature of surrounding remain constant. Surrounding is acting as a sink. It means whatever the amount of heat is given to the surrounding, that will absorb. It is acting as a sink, so it will maintain a constant temperature. So delta change in entropy of the surrounding is equals to amount of heat energy divided by T, or QP nothing but delta H of the system divided by T. Okay. Substituting the value of change in entropy of the surrounding, that is change in entropy of the surrounding equal to minus delta H system divided by T. So in place of, already we know that formula, that is that equation, that is delta S total equal to delta S system plus delta S surrounding. In place of delta S surrounding, we are substituting the value minus delta H system divided by T, whatever we previously proved. So in place of delta S surrounding, we are adding minus delta H system by T. Here system is there, so we can neglect here, means we can neglect system here. So it becomes delta S total equals to delta S minus delta H by T. So just by taking LCM, we are getting T delta S total equals to T delta S minus delta H. So minus T delta S total equals to delta H minus T delta S. Just we are rearranging that. Comparing this equation with Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, that is Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, just I write here again, delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. So T delta S total is equals to delta H minus T delta S, whereas delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. So in place of this we can write delta G. So finally the equation become delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. It means that the reaction is spontaneous whenever delta S total is positive. Whenever delta S total is positive, but here we have a negative sign, so we can say the reaction is spontaneous whenever delta G is negative. Delta G is negative, whereas T delta S value is positive. So from this derivation we can prove that delta, if the process has negative delta G value, then the process is spontaneous. Okay, let us discuss some cases. Case 1, when delta G is negative. From the relation delta G equals to T minus T delta S total. If delta G is negative, then T delta S is positive. The process is spontaneous because entropy of the process is increasing. Understood? If delta G value is negative, then T delta S become positive. So minus into minus, that is positive. So whenever T delta S value is positive, it means that there is increase in the entropy of the system. The process is spontaneous. In terms of free energy, a spontaneous process occur at constant pressure and temperature has negative value for delta G. Any process, any reaction which is occurring at constant temperature and constant pressure, if delta G value is negative, then the reaction is spontaneous because the free energy of the system is decreasing. Whenever the energy of the system decrease, that reaction is spontaneous. Okay, this is case 1. Next one, case 2. If delta G is 0, what happens when delta G is 0, whether it is spontaneous or non-spontaneous or anything? From this relation, delta G equals to minus T delta S. T delta S is also equal to 0 because delta G is 0. It means T delta S is also 0. It means that there is no change in entropy. When there is no change in entropy, it means that the process is in equilibrium. Whenever the process is in equilibrium, there is no change in entropy, delta S value, then there is no change in delta G value. It means system and surrounding are at same entropy and same free energy. Okay. Then case 3. When delta G is positive, from the relation delta G minus equals to minus T delta S, if delta G is positive, then delta S is negative. It means during the process, the change in entropy is negative. The entropy of the system is decreasing. It means it is a non-spontaneous process. In all non-spontaneous process, there is decrease in the entropy. Okay. From the above discussion, we conclude that if delta G is negative, the process is spontaneous. If delta G equal to 0, the process is at equilibrium. If delta G is positive, the process is non-spontaneous. Okay. Next, prediction of spontaneity of chemical reaction. How we are going to predict the spontaneity of a chemical reaction? Whether the reaction proceeds or not proceeds, what are the favorable conditions for the reaction? One by one, let us know. A chemical reaction proceeds in the direction of decrease in free energy. Already we proved that any process, any reaction, if there is decrease in free energy, if delta G value is negative, then the reaction is spontaneous. For any chemical reaction, if the reaction is spontaneous, then free energy must be decreased or delta G value must be negative. The spontaneity of a chemical reaction occurring at constant temperature and pressure is predicted by Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. This equation, that is Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, by using this equation we are going to predict whether the process or whether the reaction is spontaneous or non-spontaneous. Okay. Case 1. When delta H is negative and delta S is positive. It means we have one process, one reaction where delta H value is negative. It means it is an exothermic reaction. There is decrease in the enthalpy of the reaction and there is increase in the entropy of the reaction. Delta S value is positive, delta H value is negative. So by using Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. Delta H negative is there, T delta S value is positive is there, minus into plus become minus, so both are negative values, so delta G value is negative. Understood? Delta H negative, delta S positive, minus T into positive negative, so both are negative, so delta G value is negative. So the reaction is spontaneous at all temperatures. Here the only factor is temperature. At all temperature the reaction is spontaneous. At all conditions the reaction proceeds in the forward direction. Okay, next case 2, that is delta H is negative and delta S is negative. It means there is one reaction where the reaction is exothermic, there is decrease in the enthalpy and there is decrease in the entropy. If this is the condition, what happens to the reaction? Let us discuss. Delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. Delta H negative, already mentioned. Delta S is also negative, so this value is negative. Minus T into negative value become a positive value, so delta H value is negative, T delta S value is positive. So this delta G value is negative whenever T delta S value is less than delta H value. For example, T delta S value is 500. If delta H value is 600, then delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S. Delta H value is minus 600. Here T delta S value is 500. So overall value is minus 100. It means negative. In this, it means that here the numerical value of delta H is greater than T delta S. In this condition, the reaction is possible. It means this is only possible whenever the T value is small. It means that at lower temperature, the reaction is spontaneous, but at higher temperature, the reaction is non-spontaneous. Okay. The process is spontaneous at lower temperature and non-spontaneous at higher temperature. Non-spontaneous at higher temperature. Okay, I think you understood this. Okay, case 3. In case 3, delta H is positive and delta S is also positive. It means it is an endothermic reaction, but entropy of the reaction is positive. Change in entropy is positive. It means entropy is favorable whereas delta H is not favorable. So in that condition, let me know. Delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. Delta H value is positive, minus T delta positive. It means this value is positive only and this value is positive, but my positive into negative, it becomes negative. It means delta H minus T delta S. But overall we require delta G value negative. So in this condition, delta H value must be very less compared to T delta S. If T delta S value is greater compared to delta H, numerically T delta S value is very high compared to a change in enthalpy, that is delta H. In that condition, the reaction is spontaneous, and this is possible whenever we maintain the temperature to high. So this reaction is possible or spontaneous only at high temperature. At higher temperature, the reaction is feasible, the reaction is spontaneous, but at lower temperature, the reaction is non-spontaneous. Okay, next fourth one. When delta H is positive and delta S is negative, both are unfavorable conditions. Endothermic reaction, entropy decreasing. So delta G equals to delta H positive, T delta S negative. So negative into negative positive, it means overall delta G value is positive. So the reaction is non-spontaneous. And last one, when T delta S is equal to delta H. Numerically T delta S value is equals to delta H value, then these value become 0, or we can say the difference between these two becomes 0. It means that whenever this is the condition, that is delta H equals to T delta S, in that condition delta G value is 0, it means the reaction is at equilibrium. Thank you students. By this I come to know that you understood these points. There are so many questions based on this. You can refer from CET books. You will get the perfection. Okay, thank you.